Hello, viewers. My name is Jestone Mhango here at National Institute of Public Administration, NIPA. We are here to discuss with Melo. In fact, Melo sounds yummy, like it's a breakfast or something you eat when we're going to bed. We are discussing the preparation of the commencement of the agricultural season, and this preparation is special in the sense that it is not what we are used to do always. For instance, the farmers in northern region of Zambia, in the past they used to do pre-planting, which is you plant before the rains because we knew when the rains would come, we knew when the rains will go, and with the pre-planting, what used to happen is it used to help with the uniformity in germination. But currently, due to climate change, which has come about because of the global warming, the rainfall is unpredictable. So therefore, farmers should be smart enough to know when to plant, how to plant, and where to plant. That's what we are going to discuss today with Melo. Behind me is a project called Green Harvest 24. This project is a NIPA initiative or innovation to help farmers be productive. That is to maximize the yield from the unit area of just 1 hectare to get that much needed 10 tons per hectare. So what has NIPA done? What NIPA has done is this. In an hectare, most of the small scale farmers, they fail to attain the 10 tons per hectare. So here at NIPA, we are planting 2 seeds per station. So when we plant 2 seeds per station, because we are planting the hybrids, we are expecting them to give us the minimum of 2 cobs. So when they give us the minimum of 2 cobs, and we have 2 plants per station, as you can see, we have this one and we have this one. We are having 4 cobs on 1 station. This is guaranteed to give us the 10 tons per hectare within the affordable costs, of course. And this maize is on irrigation. As you can see, we have the drip irrigation, because what we are trying to attain here is to ensure that within a year we do this 3 times. So if we can harvest 3 times, one farmer can a year, and if a family of 6 to 10, they only need 20 bags. But this can give you a guaranteed 600 bags. So you can sell and get the benefit of the financial benefit that comes with this type of farming. Now, in order to do this, and in order for you to prepare for the farming, we are going to talk about the good agricultural practice. So in the good agricultural practice, we start with the selection of land or the site where you are going to put your crop. So the selection is very, very important, because you have to look at the distance to the market. You have to look at the types of soils where you're planting, because we do have different types of soils, the clay soils, the sandy soils, and the combination of these together with the humus, we have the loamy soils, sandy loamy and clay loamy. Now, the maize does well in the clay loamy. So in this clay loamy, it is the texture of the soils. When the texture is like this, you look at the color is black. That means it has got a high content of humus. Humus is just the dead plants or animals. So it has got the high content. Here we also put manure. And after you've selected your land, you have to till that land. When tilling the land, we encourage that you do the practice, the conservation farming. So in conservation farming is where at all cost you minimize the breaking down of the soils. You just till specifically where you are going to plant. You do the reaping. So when you do the reaping, you are minimizing on the disturbance of the soils. That way you are preserving your soils. But because of the climate change, what is happening is we are expecting or experiencing droughts, as well as we are experiencing floods. So in order to prepare well, we are encouraging farmers to plant on ridges. So like you can see here, we have it on ridges. The reason being that with the ridges, you are able to manage on the nutrition. Before you put the soils to make the ridge, you put the manure down, and then you cover the manure first. Then second, with this, if we experience floods at any point, what is going to happen is you're going to manage the floods or the water that will flood your fields. So the water may come possibly sometimes even up to the edge where your crop is, but eventually water will drain away because water molecules are constantly on the move. They'll find the lowest point or they will seep through the soils. That way you would have maintained your nutrition. At the same time, you would have maintained your crop. So with pre-planting 2 seasons ago, when we experienced the floods, what happened? Most of the farmers lost their crop. They did the pre-planting. Then when they did the pre-planting, the rains came, but then there was not enough. That we experienced a drought. So there was poor germination. Then farmers replanted. After replanting, again, they experienced floods, which washed away the seed. So they had to do the third planting, which didn't do well so much as expected because of other dynamics in the agriculture that we're most likely to discuss later as we talk about the climate. So now when you plant it on the ridges like that, you are preparing for both times. You're preparing for the floods or for the drought, because these are the variabilities that are coming with the climate change as before the climate stabilizes. After you've done the land preparation, now we are going to look for the seed. There has been debates for some time now where farmers talk about, no, we have to use traditional seed, or we don't need to use hybrid because hybrids are genetically modified. That debate has been going on and it has actually not settled yet. But today, if you want to maximize on harvest, we'll tell you, please and oh please plant hybrids. The reason being that these are tried and tested. If they say they are going to give you 10 tons in an hectare, they are going to, because they are homogeneous. Whilst the traditional seed, those are open pollinated varieties. OPVs, they can give you anything. They're unpredictable because they are heterogeneous, meaning they've got characteristics that are different from even from themselves, the parents, because they would have gotten other characteristics from the neighboring fields or anything. So because of that unpredictability, and if you plant them, you don't know, you're likely to make a loss. You can make a win, but mostly you're likely to make a loss because you don't know how much of the fertilizers you're going to put. But with the hybrids, there are specifications, the amount of fertilizers that they need for you to maximize that. And so we encourage you to go to a certified seed dealer. Now, the other reason why you need to go to a certified seed dealer is you will find an agronomist who will tell you about the crop. Each and every crop has got the nutritional requirements, has got the program on pest management, and even the duration. You need to know, like on its physiological maturity duration, you need to know the amount of water that it needs. So the agronomist will be able to explain to you. If you miss out on this, you're going to make a loss. So that is on the seed. After that, we are going to talk about nutrition. Nutrition, that is the fertilizers and the manures. So we have the manures, organic fertilizers and chemical fertilizers. With chemical fertilizers, these are synthesized in the laboratories. They are specifically meant to boost or to give that much needed nutrition to your crop. They do nothing to the soils. If anything, actually, they contribute to a depletion of the soils because the plant will just get those nutrition, and uh, following the following years will be challenging, even if you keep applying the same fertilizers. But if you combine the chemical fertilizers with organic fertilizers, you're going to uh, you're going to improve on the soil texture. The soil texture is where you get a balance between the sand, the clay. You get a balance within where the humus will sit in, the loamy. That loamy is that humus will be able to provide nutrition, but again to provide much more. That is on the soil texture, and it also provide the like the environment where the microscopic organisms that are much needed in the soils will survive. These microscopic organisms, they survive on that humus. So now for them to survive on that humus by breaking it down, they do much more than disintegrating this humus. They also help in the nutrient cycle. So how they help in nutrient cycle, like in the atmosphere, we have is it 78% of nitrogen. This atmospheric nitrogen, we cannot use it, or it cannot be used, it cannot be absorbed by the plants. But these microscopic organisms are able to convert that atmospheric nitrogen to the nitrogen that can be absorbed by the plants. So you need them. The chemical fertilizers does not add that. It will just give you the nitrogen which will be depleted, but the organic fertilizers or manure will be able to do that. From the fertilizers, we go to weed management. If you can look here, the weeds have been suppressed. So now these weeds that have been suppressed here, it means the crop is enjoying that freedom, that independence of it to be the only crop or plant that is feeding onto the nutrition that you are providing here. So here we have a number of methods to do your weeding, and that is you can use mechanical, where you use the hoes, the tractors or implements attached to the tractors, or you can use biological, or mostly we do the combination of all the biological, mechanical at the same time. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we do our weeding. Most times we hear that the herbicides or the chemicals destroy land. Well, to some extent, they do. But if you well managed and properly managed, we can still. But that's another topic. It's a long topic. But it's important if we are to maximize on our production, on our yield to get that profit, and from the same profit, again, we'll come and manage the soils. By later, maybe after 3 seasons of applying these chemicals, we are going to have the weed-free land, and then we'll just be doing our farming, our normal farming, and we are still going to achieve. From weed management, we need to manage the vegetation, the vegetation stage, managing the flowering stage. Now, the flowering stage is very, very much important, or is derive its success from the vegetative stage. So vegetative stage is where we are supposed to have big leaves. Other than the big leaves, you also are supposed to look at the color. The greener your crop is, the more photosynthesis is taking place, the more nutrition it is, the more nutrients it is making, and the more crop you are going, the better crop that you are going to have. The bigger, the better the surface. So if you compare this to some of your maize that you plant, you'll find that the whole of this leaf, it is just like this. You've reduced on the surface. So now, because you've reduced on the surface, it will not reserve any food. So you have only one cob. Well, look at this. It has got even the potential to give us 3. But as we are only counting on the 2, we are guaranteed. This one is a bonus when it comes about. Then the flowering stage. This flowering stage, at flowering stage, this is where pollination takes place. So pollination is where we have the pollens fall on the pistil. Now, this period is very short. There's the short window. So now on this short window, it's very important that the crop looks like this, the way it's looking, it's uniform. It flowers at the same time. But if you have this crop flowering, this not, this, the others are flowering, what will happen is we are going to have a serious challenge. And that serious challenge will be not having the kernels. This crop will not have the kernels because each of these hairy things that you're seeing on the pistil represents a kernel, a grain, a maize grain. So each one of these should be, the pollen should sit on it so that it can go and make that maize. So if this one flowers, this one has not flowers, not flowered, what will happen is this will have those maize that you see without like gaps. And this you manage it at germination. So at germination, you need to have the uniform germination. If you have scanty germination, where today you have 10%, the other day, 2-3 days, 20%, 40, just it goes like that, you would have made huge losses. Then later, all you are just going to do after we've reached this stage now is just to wait for harvest. But harvest again, we make huge losses at harvest. So harvest, we have to we have to ensure that our maize has reached the physiological maturity. Physiological maturity is where the internal processes, the respiration, transpiration, as completed, and this cob now detaches itself. It will still be here, but detaches itself. So you are going to see it either by counting the days. So like this one is a early mature. It's 110 days. So after 110 days, we will know that now it has reached its maturity. Or then you can look at the signs. The leaves will turn yellow, meaning they're stopping the photosynthesis. They will start drying, meaning they've stopped the respiration, and also transpiration has stopped taking place. Once they dry up, then we take our cob, which will be roughly about 20% moisture. Now, we need this maize to be converted to millimill. We want it to be at 12%. Now, to attain that 12%, there are many methods, what we call post-harvest techniques. So those post-harvest techniques is mostly what has caused this aflatoxin problem that we are having now. FRA called for an early maize purchase. So we had a situation or an influx of these briefcase business people who went in the field, bought the maize at 20% and possibly more because they wanted to make more money. The early maize was attracting a financial benefit. So people collected that maize. Now, as long as the moisture is high, the storage becomes a challenge. The kernel itself still has the physiological activities going on. There's still exchange of fluid from inside. It's like it is still alive. So it's just like having a chicken and then you just throw it for 2 days. What are you going to find? To find it has rotten. It goes in the process that is called senescence. Senescence simply means rotting. It starts rotting from inside because of its moisture that it had in there. So what happens now when there's a lot of moisture inside the crop, that moisture where the crop is still alive, like it's breathing. So if it is breathing inside, it want to take out this moisture. So as it is taking out this moisture, and at the time, because of climate change, we have even having the winter periods, which are warm. So that warmth outside and the moisture, that is the conducive environment for fungal development. Spores are all over. So fungal comes from spores, which are all over everywhere. So when they find a condition which is dark, warm, and moist, they will start developing. So they developed in this maize, but now because we had the challenge of the droughts, people want the mealie meal, they want the prices to come down. We found ourselves, or the millers found themselves using that maize to grinding it into mealie meal. Now, there's this question that people keep asking: why is it that the dogs are dying, humans are not dying? That answer, I'm not saying that I'm giving the definite answer. I'm using just a scientific prediction or the extraction of data, just like to come up with an hypothesis. It's not actual data I'm giving here. But using the experience of 20 years in the agriculture sector, this is what happens with processing, the post-harvest techniques. Millers take there are grades in the agricultural products. So there's grade A, B, C, D, depending on purity and the requirements of any crop for processing. So I'm thinking millers use grade A to do the maize or to grind the maize into mealie meal for humans, and then they use grade D, the poor quality, for animals, for livestock, and also for pets like dogs. So now that poor grade, it has got a very high levels of aflatoxins in them. This could be the reason why we saw the dogs dying. Now, when the dogs were dying, the food was tasted. They found it was high in aflatoxins. So they went now to the mealie meal. So to the mealie meal, this is now what I'm thinking, that these millers, after the shortage, they had less options. They could have used the grade A and mix it with grade B and C in order just to meet the demand. That's why we're having a little bit of high, but not so fatal. That is an assumption that I'm making here. So we shouldn't worry much because the government is on our side. It's going to do its job. It's going to help us. We saw how they're destroying the maize. But you as a farmer, you have to ensure that after you harvest at the right time and you do a proper storage of your maize. So after you've done a proper storage and it's at 12%, that's when you sell it. That way you're going to have at least a good period for to preserve it until it reaches its intended market with a good quality. So that is about the good agricultural practice for the maize. Now we still want to talk about how do we prepare now. Well, after talking about how do we prepare for this season, how we prepare, we are going to practice what is called climate smart agriculture. What is climate smart agriculture? We have the climate, the smart, and the agriculture. Climate is a condition of weather that is for a period of about 30 to 35 years. So what it means is the daily temperatures, the daily heat the daily temperature at the minimum and the maximum, they are recorded. The daily humidity, the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere, they are recorded. The heat, the heat that the plants are experiencing in that moment every day, they're recorded. The light intensity, so like right now, we can see the light is hitting onto us. A lot of photosynthesis is taking place, and I love that. Well, by the way, when the plant is doing like this, it is saying thank you. It is appreciating. The plant cannot do this when it is sick. You find that those small plants that don't look healthy, so they're just like sleeping because they are sick. Like this, they're doing fine. So those conditions of every day that are recorded for 30 years, and then they find an average. That average is important to the farmer because it will tell us the type of climate condition that we have in a region. Because we have the temperate, here in Zambia we experience the tropical climate. So that tropical is important for us to know because it comes with the type of crop that we can plant. Like here in Zambia, in summer, we cannot plant wheat because wheat is a cool, is a temperate crop. It grows well where it's cold. In the past, we never used to have the apples grow in Zambia. They would be small and ugly and even bitter. But today, due to climate smart agriculture, we have them growing even in our condition. So the climate simply is telling us about the conditions of the weather patterns for over a period. So smart agriculture. Agriculture simply means the management of farming, production, and even the business. So production, management, and the business itself of crops. Then the practice is the implementation. How do we do what we are doing? So the combination of climate smart agriculture simply means we are using now technology. So we want to use that technology. We want to fuse in innovations into agriculture in order for us to maximize harvest, despite having the challenges of climate variability. So the climate variability is what we experience now. Droughts today, we're experiencing floods the following day, then we're experiencing prolonged we're experiencing a prolonged winter. We're experiencing much warm and hot summers, or sometimes even cold summers. We can't even call them summers anymore. Um, we can't call them it's summer anymore, because in summer it's cold. Winter, it's warm. So those variabilities, the climate variabilities that have come, we have to think through and say, how do we protect the crop? Because this crop in winter, it will give you less. This crop in summer, it will give you more. So what innovations are we going to put in place? So innovation that we are going to put in place are like, we'll start with the meteorological information. Come with me to the meteorological station. So here, what we have here is a meteorological station. Simply, we say Met, like the Met station. So we have the Met station. So here at NEPA, the management of NEPA um, decided to go in partnership with the meteorological department, which installed this station. This station is helping us to manage the climate, to manage to grow something despite these variabilities that we have. So what this one is doing is it's giving us real-time information about the wind direction, about the wind speed, about the humidity, and we have here, this is a fake leaf. That fake leaf that you are seeing, it is just like that leaf. Whatever the leaf is experiencing, that is recording. Now, let me talk about the importance of, then we have the rain gauge. So this automated rain gauge, it corrects the amount of rainfall that will come then to be recorded. So we know how much water has gone in the crop. This crop you are seeing behind me, like the maize, it needs about 16 milliliters of water to make the cob. Now, that 16 milliliters of water, it should be redistributed from germination, vegetative, flowering, and harvesting. So we need to collect. If we have less, we supplement. And when supplementing, as you are preparing, make sure that you have the irrigation facility, either a drip or the sprinklers. Even if we are getting into the rain season, because we're still experiencing this variability, the climate variability. I know 2024, 2025 seasons we've been informed that we are likely to experience normal to above normal, but it is not in all regions of Zambia. Some regions will experience that. So above normal, we will also experience floods. In some cases, we'll still be experiencing floods, or we'll be experiencing droughts, or just the periods between one rain day and the next rain day may go to 10 to 14 days. After 14 days, this crop will never make it, will never give you the yield. So in that moment, you still need to have the drip irrigation on standby. You need to have the sprinkler on standby. You are going to say, oh, it is expensive. How can we make it? Come to NEPA. When you come to NEPA, we're going to tell you how you can make a profitable business just from 1 hectare. Even me, I wouldn't call myself a regent in agronomy, but at least I've been there. I've seen this around for 20 years. In that period, I'll tell you that even me, I would say we needed a minimum of 4 hectares in order to make a profit. But of late, as we've been trying to explore means and ways or innovating in how can we maximize harvest from the unit area, here we are. Within an hectare, we're getting 10, guaranteed 10 hectares. If you are saying it's a joke, please visit us at National Institute of Public Administration. We are going to manage your farm. We're going to work with you so that we can achieve this. A family of 6, I've already said, you just need 20 bags for you to survive in a year. But this will give you 200 bags. 100 and how many bags? 160 bags. You sell them and you do this 3 times in a year. How much money? Profitable, right? So that's about the rain gauge. The humidity, the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere, very, very important. Why? Because as you see the leaves waving, that's a wind passing by. That wind is carrying water from the crop. So as it is carrying that water from the surface of the leaves, the plant is forced to produce or to bring the water up. It is causing what is called osmotic pressure. That osmotic pressure, so that the water moves from the roots all the way to the leaves and it keeps going away. Now, if we have high humidity, too much water vapor here, that transpiration will take place. And if it does not take place, what will happen is the nutrients will not move, because the nutrients are only moving during transpiration, during the process of the water from the roots comes to the leaf, it disappears, more water is demanded. As more water is demanded, more nutrition, because water is a universal solvent. So water being a universal solvent, it dissolves all the nutrients that are in the soil and it distributes it to the plant. Very, very. So we need to know, do we have a low humidity or high humidity? Low humidity, what it will happen is it will suck a lot of water. If it sucks a lot of water, a crop will undergo what we call nutritional shock. That is where it has gotten a lot of nutrients as it demands for water. So we need to record so that we can advise what we do. Do we irrigate more? Do we irrigate less? The wind speed, how much water are we losing from the leaves? So the more we record this, we understand. If we are experiencing too much of the speed of wind, we are going to protect our crop we are going to plant something around the field, that a windbreaker, so that we can manage the wind. The direction, where is the wind coming from? So wherever the wind is coming from, this will help us with pollination. So we can strategically put our 1 hectare may not be too square. We want to be in such a direction, like wind is coming from this direction. So it's coming from this. Even our hectare, we are going to design it in this way. So that the wind is coming, the pollination, we maximize on the pollination and not just put it straight. Because if we put it straight, there will be high pollination activities from the beginning, but at the end, there will be less. So we need to know the speed, the direction, and the speed. So this station that you are seeing here is very, very important to have it. But of course, it's a little bit expensive. So now, because it costs a lot, not every farmer needs to have this. But if you organize yourself within a district, talk to the district commissioner, talk to the district agriculture coordinator, let them communicate or work with the Ministry of Green Economy and the Meteorological Department. They're going to set up, we have this small met station mainly for the commercial farming, but we also have the big, we'll show you the big machine that can take up to 50 kilometers. So that 50 kilometers can take about 10, 20 commercial farmers or so. And also, we also have the moisture meter, this one that goes underground. We have actually two. We have one that is here, and we also have one that is in the field there. We'll show you. There's a blue thing. It will just go on there. So this, we want to know how much of the moisture is in the soils. The reason why we want to know is at what rate are our nutrients, our fertilizer dissolving. Too much water will affect the roots. The roots will rot. Less water, there will be high concentration of these nutrients, our plants will die. So this information, once recorded, we want to keep it. If after it rains, like so that we are going in the rain season, after it has rained, you're going to have a situation where we're going to measure how much of the water do we have. So if we have a lot of water, we have to boost our crops with nutrition. We have less, we irrigate. Very, very important. So this one is part of the innovation in the climate smart agriculture for us to help us prepare well and produce a food that Zambia it can be food secure at personal level. By the way, my nickname is More Food because it's a hobby to eat and a talent to produce food. And when you see me fat like this, it's not by mistake. I am fat simply to demonstrate to you that it's possible, even here in Zambia, to have food security at personal level. So when you see me big and fat, it's possible. If I can be big and fat, you can be. Once you produce this kind of farming, you practice this kind of farming, which we are calling NIPA system. You do the NIPA system, come to NIPA, who show you. You are going to be fat, guaranteed fat, but the good fat, not the fat obesity. Thank you very much.